Mini Jake, the tribe has spoken.
Fuck you, Kevin.
Aw, fuck you too, sweetie.
I'm JJ, one of the original Tribe of Nerds members. You can catch me on Marvel, Pokemon, and other gaming podcasts.
What up? It's Josh, resident superhero nerd, but I also dabble in the occasional super villain as well.
Some may know me as the Chaos Gremlin, but really I'm just Joe King.
Pikachu, use Volt Tackle! Good job, Pikachu!
On the Tribe of Nerds. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Tribe of Nerds. Shane and I are here once again for Survivor What If, pondering the question in this vast multiverse of what would happen if you changed one thing in every season of Survivor. We're here for Survivor Pearl Islands, the pirate life, and here we're going through what would happen if the Outcast twist didn't happen. So Burton and Lil are out of the game completely, as are the rest of the people that didn't make it to the final 10 at this point. So no Skinny Ryan, no Michelle, no Trish, no Nicole as well. And so it's the final 10. Both tribes are at 5 members each. And officially we merge at 10. And so Sean and Austin are still in the game. So what happens at this point?
Yeah, I think without the Outcast twist, I mean, we're not going to see any returnee mechanism, presumably till Redemption Island. Maybe they do it earlier, but who knows? But I actually think the season as a whole gets even better without the Outcast twist. Because I rewatched it recently, and Lil is frustrating. Like,
she is.
Not having her there would, I think, make the season even better. And I think there's more flip-flopping that might happen, especially with Fairplay in this new timeline. So let's break it down. And I feel like we're going to have diverging paths at different points because there's so many different things that could happen here. So we go in 5-5, and I know for both tribes, especially for the Morgans, like they really want to stick together with Savage as their leader.
Yeah.
We have this little tricky situation where Austin quits. So like, how is that going to work? Because in the real timeline, they're going to tribal. He quits at tribal. It's not like he quits before finding out that they're going to tribal or anything.
Right.
So I think he's not just going to quit outright. It's going to be at tribal. I think Savage is going to work hard to convince him not to quit. In the real timeline, like someone had to go home. Here, someone from their side doesn't have to go home. So that adds a complicating layer. But I do think he's kind of had enough. And it's going to be in the back of his mind. I think the Drakes are going to find out he wants to quit. And I could see like Sandra talking it up like, oh, it's miserable here. Like, you really want to be in the cold and rain and trying to really push him out. Like, I can see her working some magic. I see Savage really working to keep him and like, oh, you have to be loyal to the team and all this stuff. So I think what possibly happens is we get a 5-5 and then Jeff's like, all right, we have a 5-5. And then that's when Austin's like, yeah, I'm out.
Yeah, I think it's possible. I know like everything was way worse than it showed. Austin did have like staph infections and whatnot. So like he could have actually been medevaced by this point. I don't know, but I mean, I would hope that at least, but in this case, let's just say he's quitting instead of being directly medevaced. But yeah, I think Savage is going to try to talk him out of it. I could see Sandra pushing him as well, but I think they do go to tribal and Austin does quit and is the last one to not make jury. And so then they just go back to camp.
I think one factor I just thought of that would make him more likely to quit is I think the Drakes are gonna vote for Austin. So when we get 5-5 and Austin's one of the votes, and with presumably the new rocks mechanism will come into play where like it's not like it was in Marquesa, but they don't know this yet. So let's say we get to the deadlock, they vote again, he doesn't quit the first time, they vote again, it's deadlocked, and then Jeff explains how the rocks will work.
Yeah.
If Austin's like, oh, I'm gonna be safe now, no, I'm quitting.
Yeah, I think he's quitting.
Yeah.
And so we go back to camp.
Yeah, that would be like such an insane moment to get to the deadlock and then they have to have the open discussion. He's like, yeah, I just want to quit.
Yeah.
That would be so much. Jeff was already pissed. He would be so pissed.
Jeff is breaking Austin's torch over his knee and fucking into the jungle. Like, that's what's happening. And then we go back to camp. And so now it is 5-4. The Drakes are in power, as in the normal timeline. But now you have the wrinkle of Sean and Fairplay do not get along. They've been shown to be fighting with each other. And and so I think at this point, Sean could contemplate flipping, actually. I mean, I think we were talking off recording before we started. And I think we were talking, okay, so does Morgan start getting picked off here too? But I don't necessarily know that that's the case. I think they pull in Sean possibly because they try Rupert. Rupert does not budge. And so then they're like, okay, let's pull in Sean. We want to get rid of Little John, as Savage calls him. And so they end up voting for Fairplay. And so does Sean flip here?
I think it depends what information gets out there and how it's used, because I think what Fairplay and the Drakes are likely thinking is, let's whittle the numbers down one more Morgan, then we take out Sean, so that when we take him out, we still have the numbers. Kind of like what they did in Australian Outback, where they were very deliberate about when to take out one of their own.
Right.
If that gets back, or if the Morgans like Savage try to say, hey, you're going to take us out here and they're going to take you out the next round and still have the numbers, he could get in his ear and get him to flip. And if he flips, John's probably the first jury member.
Yeah, I think that's the case, actually, thinking back on it. And so that happens. And actually,
either John or it's Savage if he doesn't flip.
Yeah.
And then if it's Savage, then Sean goes next. So let's go with the branch where Fairplay is the first jury member.
Yeah.
Sean flips.
At this point now, I think it gets very, very interesting. So now, because they know Rupert wouldn't budge, I mean, do they now lose their relationship that they had with Rupert from the pre-merge where they kidnapped him? I mean, at this point, are the Morgans just like, okay, we no longer want to work with Rupert, so we're just going to have Sean on our side. And so now it's 5-3. And so do they now target Rupert so Rupert goes out at final 8 again in this timeline?
I would say, especially if he won the first 2 immunities, because he won the final 9 immunity in the real timeline, so he'll probably win it again. I'm sure he'll win the final 10 immunity because he almost won last time, but Burton beat him, and that was it.
Yep.
So, he wins the first 2 immunities. I could see them going Rupert. Because I don't think they view Sandra or Krista as a threat there.
Well, so this is the killer game with the darts, and Burton is the one who does make Rupert go down to 1, and then Sandra accidentally takes him out. But without Burton there to be the powerhouse, is Rupert now the powerhouse, and he becomes what Burton was in this challenge and wins his 3rd immunity in a row? Because that's the other thing, where Rupert just keeps winning.
Unless Savage does it, but
that's true. I don't know. Savage could be that.
Or Sean. Let's pretend Rupert wins it. So Rupert wins 3 in a row here. So they can't take out Rupert. But they go Sandra or Krista. Probably Krista.
I think Krista, because if I remember, Rhino did not like Krista when he got voted out. He voted for her and said she was a bitch. So, I think it's Krista. And
Sandra will see the writing on the wall and try to make it not her, because it's as long as it ain't me strategy.
Exactly.
So Krista goes, There's no dead grandma lie because now we're at final 7 family visit. So that's
Oh my god. Well, we get Laura a season before she comes up for the first time, and Rupert and Laura have a makeout session.
Oh yeah, I could see this. Yeah. Oh, especially because in the real timeline, Laura was definitely there because Rupert went out one before, so the family members were there. So yeah. But okay, so Rupert, I don't think he could win 4 in a row, right? I mean,
so what the final 7 is the spelling challenge that Burton got stripped from, and Dara won this.
Okay,
so Burton's not there to misspell liaison. I don't see Rupert being the greatest speller. So Dara probably wins this, but it doesn't have the problem of almost getting stripped away from someone.
So here's where it's a dilemma though. Like they could vote out Rupert, or Sandra could really try to work some magic and be like, look, they're going to vote out Rupert, then they're going to vote out me, and then there's a pecking order on the other side. Like, you want to get ahead of that pecking order. So she could bring back Sean. They could potentially bring back Sean, I think, because Sean didn't like Fairplay. Fairplay's gone. So bring back Sean. And does Sean have someone that he bonds with? Because if, let's see, it's final 7, so they need one more. Unless they try like Dara or probably not T, probably Dara they could try to bring in. Or Sandra could work something with the girls and be like, hey, you girls are going to go out with the final 3. It's going to be Savage, Sean, and Rhino.
Yeah, I could see that. I think the girls are their key here. I mean, the girls do jump on board to unanimously vote out Rhino in the real timeline. So like I could see them, if they get brought in, I could see them flipping on Savage. And I think also Tawana in the pre-merge has a moment where she talks about like that Savage is going to be this massive target. So I think she was catching on to the fact that maybe she would turn on Savage at some point.
Yeah. So I think it's likely Savage will go at 7. So that happens. Now we have, what do we have? We have T and Dara are the only Morgans, and then we have the Drakes of Rupert, Sandra, Sean.
Rhino's still there.
Oh, and Rhino. So it is 3-3.
Yeah.
I think it's either going to be Rhino, Sean, or Rupert because they're going to try to take out a threat. Yeah,
I think so too. I think at this point, maybe they do try to take the shot at Rupert, and they're not. Obviously, idols don't exist. There's no split vote. So,
or they take Rhino because if Rhino and Savage are close and they just got Savage, they go Rhino.
Yeah, it's either Rhino or Rupert, I think. So
I think I want to go with Rhino, unless he wins immunity, then Rupert. But let's say Rhino goes because they want to go back to back Savage and his buddy.
Yeah.
So here now, I think, well, Sandra is still close with Rupert. And Sandra played this loyal game. Like, yes, she comes back and is labeled a villain, but she was loyal, and she's always loyal. So I don't see her turning on Rupert.
No.
I think, though, that Sean would turn on Rupert, and the girls, Dara and T, could turn on Rupert.
I think Rupert goes at 5 because Dara is going to win another immunity anyway, because it's when she squeezes her wrists down, and like I think that's easily hers. And then Sean flips again, and Rupert does go at 5.
Yeah, so Sean's kind of turning into the fair play here, basically.
Yes, apparently, who would have thought? To be honest, I like the real timeline because I like Lil is just annoying as hell, but at least there's funny moments that come from it. And I really like Burton though. So that's my reasoning for liking the real timeline, because I think Burton is really interesting. But this is actually more interesting than I thought.
This sounds interesting, but I don't like Savage and him getting 7th. It's like, but
we have to deal with his attitude. Yeah.
We're at final 4 now. So we have Dara and Sandra, who in the real timeline are there. We have T and we have Sean.
And it's the quiz challenge where the jury gets to participate. I think the jury still wins this challenge.
So Sean goes? Do girls say it's all girls?
I maybe just because Sandra's like, okay, anyone but me. But also, I feel like at this point, like, would she recognize that she should split the girls up or try to split the girls up?
Probably, because I think Dara has a good shot of winning an immunity, and Sean has a good shot of winning an immunity, and T has a better shot than Sandra.
Yeah.
She could try to force a tie. Her and Sean vote against the girls.
Yeah, and so I think maybe they vote for Dara because Dara has won a couple of immunities. So
yeah,
three still at this point. So I think it's 2-2, and it would go to fire, and so it's Sean versus Dara. I actually don't know how this goes.
I don't either, and part of me wants to say Dara would win.
I honestly think that could be it. I don't like Sean, so I'm okay with him losing.
Okay, so let's say Sean goes in at 4th, whether it's the girls sticking together or losing fire. I think Dara wins final immunity, and Dara takes T. Unless Sandra convinces her and says, you have a better shot with me.
I think Sandra will do her best to convince her. I'm just not sure that Dara is going to do that. I think she has such a good relationship with T, and like I think she's going to honor that agreement with T to the end.
So who wins? My gut says Dara, but that's just because like she won the immunities and stuff. It could be T if T was influential in flipping at some of those moments.
I think T honestly wins because I just don't know that what Dara is going to claim in her game other than winning challenges. Like what is Dara going to say? And I feel like you have Savage there who's probably going to vouch for T more, to be honest, because they considered voting out Dara at one point early in the game. So I think Savage is going to get up there and be like, T is the most deserving and all this other stuff. I think so. I
basically pull like a David Murphy.
Yes. Vote for Tawana. She is the mastermind.
It might not even be called pulling a David Murphy. It could be called pulling a Savage. Yeah. I feel like people have done it before David Murphy, but like David Murphy is the most famous. And then, you have Spencer doing it and Jeremy doing probably the worst one where he's just like Nat balled out, vote for her.
Yeah. Jen Brown did it in Worlds Apart as well, I think, for Mike. And so, yeah, I think
I could see Savage doing that. Yeah, I could see T winning.
Yeah, I think Tawana wins. I think she was like a more low-key good player again that got stuck on a really bad tribe. So
with her winning now, does Sandra come back for Heroes and Villains?
I honestly don't know that she does at that point. I mean,
and
I don't know, but
I think it's as a hero, because I think in the real timeline it was a toss-up, and one thing that could have thrown it to Villains is because she threw out all the fish when
and blamed Krista.
Yeah, I don't know if that happens anymore.
Well, that doesn't happen because Krista goes out before that incident.
Well, yeah, I mean, she could just blame someone else, but
she's going to blame someone else.
Yeah, it wouldn't even be a blindside because it's so late in the game at that point, and she would know that he had to go. So, yeah. So maybe if she comes back, I mean, actually, if she comes back, she probably comes from Micronesia.
I can see Micronesia. We also still have the iconic moment of I Can Get Loud Too with Fairplay. Like, that moment still happens. Yeah. So I think production still sees her as like the lippiest mother they've ever had, and she still is that.
And she's the fallen angel, not the winner. Yeah. It's still an iconic placement. Yeah, I could see Micronesia. It's just, who does she replace? I guess Fairplay, because Fairplay's not gonna have the dead grandma lie, so he's the first jury member. Is he really a favorite?
No, that grandma lie like made his entire legacy.
Yeah.
So this is really wild. This is wow. I don't know. I love Pearl Islands in the season still, but now I'm like, I don't know. I think there was still like the right mix of people in the real timeline for it to still be great.
So this timeline's interesting, and if Sandra's on Micronesia, she's part of the Black Widow Brigade with Parvati, because she is with Parvati a bit at the end of Heroes and Villains, so I could definitely see them bonding in Micronesia. And yeah, she's Black Widow Brigade Sandra.
That's insane. Yeah.
So that means if that works, does she get to the final 5 or so? And then how far does she get in Micronesia? Maybe she wins that.
It's possible she wins Micronesia, actually, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
and then we could still see her on Heroes and Villains.
The queen stays queen.
Yeah, because if she goes Fallen Angel to winner, like, you're coming back.
Yeah, and then you're back for Game Changers still, probably, because she might still be the 2-time winner, and then
which would be crazy to go Fallen Angel winner.
Yeah. Very, very good. So cool.
Yeah.
Well, that is Survivor Pearl Islands of Survivor What If. The next time you see us will be for All Stars, talking about that what if scenario. So stay tuned, and we will see you all next time on the Tribe of Nerds.